As Washington County continues to grow, so does the homeless population. Even though Tawny Moon has a good-paying job, she's had a tough time finding a place she could afford. She currently lives at Switchpoint and is hoping to be reunited with her children.
I make pretty good income. However, even with that, everything I found was $1,300 or above. And for the grant that I qualified for, it had to be affordable to where I can keep it long term. And so that would be $1,100 with utilities, and I couldn't find anything in the area. Even apartments, condos, everything was way over that.
It's heartbreaking because right now we've been at max capacity. We've been open 3 years. We've always been full. They can't afford to live here. Rent is too high.
Switchpoint is about ready to break ground on a new 55-unit housing complex designed for those in need of affordable housing. The St. George Homeless Shelter is currently fundraising online, hoping to begin construction in December. The City of St. George donated land behind the new Smith's Marketplace, where the new Riverwalk complex will soon be built.
The city has donated about 3 acres for where that site is, and the city has also donated more than $500,000 in cash.
Hollowell said while the $8.6 million project is long overdue, it still won't be enough for what is truly needed in the area. And the lack of affordable housing doesn't just affect the homeless.
And we're 1,800 units short here in Washington County for affordable housing. And that is impacting not just people who rely on public assistance money like a Social Security or disability. That is including our firemen, our teachers, our policemen, people who are working service-oriented jobs. If you're not going to make $50,000 a year, you can't afford rent here.
Rental prices average around $800 for a one-bedroom unit, in upwards of $1,300 and up for 3 or more. With a 99% occupancy rate in rentals in the county, the lack of housing is also an issue. St. George Housing Authority recently opened its Section 8 housing list after 3 years of being closed. It was their largest waiting list ever.
The line started right here and actually went all the way around our housing authority and went clear down the street. And so we had over 630 applicants that came in during that 6-week time frame where we had it open. We're still working through the old waiting list with about 30 on that one. And then our public housing, which is where our housing authorities right here, we have about 30 public housing, which is our 62 and older. We have about 60 on that waiting list right now. So there's a strong demand for housing, especially affordable housing in St. George. And
every 6 months, the St. George Housing Authority purges its waiting list.
If they reply to that letter and say that they do, we'll keep them on the waiting list. If they move or if they, something changes in their situation, then we'll take those individuals off.
With only 258 federal government vouchers to help subsidize rent, the need always exceeds the supply. Most of those the Housing Authority gives preference to in this complex are elderly and disabled, and those who are working at least 20 hours a week.
So we have single moms, single dads, we have elderly, we have middle-aged, families with 3, 4 in the household. So it just kind of, it's a large mix.
While there may be a lot of service jobs available in the area, those don't often pay enough to make the rent.
St. George is building 7 new hotels right now. That equates to an $8 to $10 an hour job for somebody. And if you are working full-time at $10 an hour, you still will never be able to pay rent in Washington County.
Riverwalk is the first attempt in several years for the construction of affordable housing. While some Section 8 vouchers will be donated for that project, the need still exceeds.
But I'm sure once they open that up, we're going to have every one of those units filled within the first month. It'll be completely to capacity.
The City of St. George is hoping that more communities will step forward and help come up with solutions to keep the community thriving.
Our hope is that as we build this project, maybe other parts of the area, other parts of the county, could see this project and maybe do the same or similar type of a project in their communities.
The City of St. George is currently reviewing other multi-family housing units that may relieve some of the demand for affordable housing.
We have somewhere in the vicinity of 700 units currently either planned or being constructed within the City of St. George that meet those definitions.
However, with the real estate market also being tight, a seller's market makes homes less affordable to buy or build as well.
I would hate to see us become a market where the people that work here can't afford to live here. And we've seen examples of that even in northern Utah, in Summit County or Park City, where many of those service providers do not live in Park City. And I think that's tragic. I think that we want and need our firemen and our policemen and our school teachers and our nurses and whoever those people are, need to be able to be a part of our community.
In Washington County, Melissa Anderson, CEC News.